With that said, welcome to the community update for the 12th of October, 2022. This is a big one because next week we are going to go live with the marketplace at long last.
Alpha drop.
It's very exciting. So Corey can share a little bit more about that. We're also in today's agenda, which didn't include that. We'll be going over a little bit of the version 4.1.2 postmortem, going over a little bit of network analytics, review of some timelines, relayer operations, and for those who want to click through and check out market and liquidity information, you can. So with that, maybe I'll pass it over to you, Dan. I imagine the upgrade postmortem is you, or you can
actually
direct
Corey was kind enough to come on and talk about that.
Great.
So
yeah. Corey, after you talk about that, can then you also talk about just like marketplace launch information?
Yeah, that's actually in the timeline slide. It's kind of a timeline slash
slotted in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. Great. Over to you, Corey.
Cool. Oh, great. And it looks like you've already pasted in this HackMD. So yeah, we ran a postmortem for the upgrade incident from Friday with our dev team on Monday, and Kaustubh from our dev team, who works a lot on the testnet infrastructure with Vitwit, was kind enough to consolidate that into this postmortem document, which y'all can see here and we'll share afterwards with the validator community as well. At a high level, so if folks remember the context for the Regen 4.1 upgrade, there were two things that it was doing. One of them was enabling hardware wallet support for the marketplace, which actually the 4.0 version of Regen Ledger, though it had all of these marketplace features on chain, it didn't actually have amino signing capabilities that matched the expectations of JavaScript libraries. So we had to make some upgrades to the hardware wallet support to enable that. And then also a bit more importantly and critically, there was a bug identified by the validator community several weeks ago, reported to the foundation, Regen Foundation, where the application's sense of validators was not being updated back to the Tendermint consensus layer. And so there was a kind of like split brain of the validator set, of the active validator set, if you will. It was a pretty tricky issue. And we were debating internally whether we wanted to do a hard fork upgrade and try and get something out just within a couple days, or if we wanted to take our time and do a software upgrade proposal. After some thorough analysis, we decided that although it was kind of a critical issue pertaining to consensus, the nature of it wasn't one where there was actually a risk of a chain halt unless more than a third of our voting power validators all exited the network. So we didn't seem there to be a sufficient risk of that happening within a short time frame, and so we decided to go with a software upgrade proposal. Thankfully that we did that, because had we not gone with a software upgrade proposal and still had the bug that we had in our upgrade, it would have caused a hard fork in the network as opposed to just halting the chain, which is what did happen. So I think it was good in the end that we actually did make that decision to do a proper software upgrade proposal. So when we actually went through this upgrade on Friday, there was one edge case in our resynchronization of the validator sets that was mishandled. It was particularly an edge case around inactive validators that we weren't handling properly. The reason why it wasn't caught had to do with the fact that among our many different test cases when we were running test nets, because we were doing testing with 5 validators on a max validator set of 75, there wasn't any possibility for our testing scenarios to include checking previously inactive validators. And so because of that, you know, this oversight in our internal reviews of the pull request didn't get caught when we were doing testing either, and only became apparent when we did our upgrade. So the upgrade happened Friday morning. We had about maybe 2 or 3 hours of downtime. Anil was sort of kind of coordinating with the validator community, and I'm pretty sure Gregory and Dan, you two were both very active in there as well from those first moments. And Anil was asking the validator community for input as to whether we should skip the upgrade or wait for a software fix. It seemed like there was desire to take the time and wait for a software fix. And so thanks to the validator community's patience, Alim was working forward on identifying the issue, which is documented here in this HackMD, exactly what the problem was, exactly how it was fixed. It was then tested with the Sentry nodes of Vitwit's validators. And once it was verified that this fixed the bug, we tagged a release and propagated it out to the validator community. Chain resumed, and all was well in the world again. So thanks to everyone who was involved in that process. Really appreciative of the validator community for their patience. Yeah, that's any questions on that? Happy to talk through briefly.
Ishmael, Paul, do you guys have any questions or comments?
No, none here. Thanks so much for the update there. That all makes sense.
I think my only comment might be no upgrades on Fridays. I was in an airport security line, which obviously is like that's always going to be an issue. But
yeah, I was also like mid-flight in between two. I think if there was another thing, so I think there were some good action items for this specific issue and how it could have been resolved. But one thing just to the timeliness of, I mean, it actually was, I think all things considered, we did get this turnaround pretty quickly. And the time that it took for Aaron or myself to get online, it's like Alim was working on the fix during that time. And there wasn't that much of a big lag. But certainly I think we could have done a better of a job, at least internally, in ensuring that when there was an upgrade, we knew kind of like who our point people were, so that, as it became apparent that there was an incident, there wasn't a moment of like grasping at straws, like who can we pull in from the dev team to take a look at this, but rather like we know exactly that so-and-so is point, for decision making around critical issues, and they'll bring in more people if they need to, but otherwise that person has it, handled and is on call.
Yeah, with that observation, have we taken next steps to just sort of like upgrade our upgrade checklist and make sure that there's sort of I mean, I think what would be ideal is if there was a single core team dev sort of like responsible and present, and a rep, and all the validators are going to be tuned in, but maybe that we have a validator representative who's sort of like at any given upgrade is sort of volunteering to also be sort of like full, not just like they put the binary in and they've got the, they've kind of automated it with whatever the automation tool is. Cosmovisor. Thank you. It's been a year since I used that word, I think. So upgrade, got everything, handled with Cosmovisor, but no, actually like, I'm going to be online. I'm going to be paying attention, just like adding to our checklist the appropriate, I think it's useful to think about that. Corey, have you taken any steps there, or is that something that we should try to sort of formalize maybe?
No, but I think adding that into the release process. Well, it's funny because it's like the release process is more like the checklist about getting up to the point of having a published release, as opposed to the coordination of an actual upgrade. But I think we probably should have documentation of that somewhere. If it does live in the release processes document, that's a fine place, or we can take offline to figure out if there's another spot.
Let's make an upgrade coordination checklist that augments the release checklist that just both has like, check there are these representatives present who know that they're present, and whatever other sort of like elements need to be there, just so that it's always smooth and covered when when we do it, and those people can sort of be the responsible parties for also making decisions on timing, because they need to be present and other stuff. So cool. All right. Thanks, Corey.
Mhm.
All right.
Cool. Yeah, I can talk about this a little bit. Just kind of it's kind of a quick just blurb. A fantastic community member decided to develop this little dashboard for us. It's Mari from Rockaway Labs. So what this is kind of shows you, obviously you can see here like our decentralization coefficient, also known as Nakamoto coefficient. Just kind of gives you an idea as maybe not so much as a validator, but more as somebody who's staking and delegating their tokens to maybe make more informed decisions around the decentralization of our chain itself. So there's the link right there. If anybody's interested in checking it out, go ahead and do that. If there's any other metrics that you would like to see, you can hit me or Sari up. We've got a direct line to Rockaway Labs. They're more than willing to add anything that anybody else would like to see.
This is so
And-
cool.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah. They just did it out of nowhere. Go ahead, Sari.
Sorry, yeah, just in addition to that, Mary also wants to do an AMA with us if anybody in the community is interested, where we can like talk to her about this tool. And if you have any ideas for things that you want added, it'd be a good time to talk about it then.
Rad. We should do that on Twitter
yeah.
Spaces.
Oh, it's a good idea. Yeah.
Like one of the
Definitely.
Regenerati news hours, maybe we can just coordinate and plan and have her on and like present this tool and then have a AMA about that. I think that'd be awesome.
That sounds great. Yeah, I'll talk to her about doing that.
Cool. What does autonomous systems mean?
Stay tuned for the Twitter Spaces. And
All right.
Mary will tell us.
Cool. Okay. I will ask that question. That will be my first question in the Twitter Spaces. Sounds good.
Can someone give just a little more detail of what this is for? Like, I'm not sure I understand exactly what we're looking at here, what these metrics are.
It's
So
really a yeah. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Sari.
Oh, it's really just a tool for evaluating validator security. I think it's for delegators and validators so that they can assess how secure they're being. Like, Dan, you should answer this question.
Yeah, so I mean, as little as I know about it, this just dropped like yesterday, or the day before, I believe. So I haven't really had many opportunities to ask questions for clarification, but the way that I understand it, just by looking at it, so the Nakamoto coefficient basically describes how decentralized the network is. So that's kind of the numbers that you're seeing there, where each one of these tabs, so validators, looks like we're not super decentralized on that front, but we are definitely working on it. Chainflow actually does this analysis too.
But note, we're the most decentralized in the Cosmos ecosystem.
We're
we have
the most, right?
We have the highest Nakamoto coefficient in the Cosmos ecosystem right now.
I was
But
quite
this means
confused
how many
about that.
validators, this Nakamoto coefficient is how many validators would need to participate to halt the chain.
Right. So the higher the number, the better.
Yes. So if you needed
Okay.
50, it means that that a completely even distribution, I think, would be 33. Right? 33, you need 33% to halt. And if you had completely even distribution, you'd need 33 validators to halt the chain. So right now, we need 9 validators to halt the chain. That's generally speaking, I think, pretty healthy. What the Nakamoto coefficient doesn't take into consideration is, so it's sort of like weird that this is over in the red, like, and that makes you think like it's not good, but it doesn't show you relative to other networks or whatever. Anyway, we're currently the highest Nakamoto coefficient in the Cosmos ecosystem.
Right.
Chainflow announced that like 2 weeks ago or something like that. What this doesn't consider is distribution of stake, right? This is just validators. So like what validator voting power is. And so there's a different analysis that would need to be run that would distribute sort of like an analysis of ownership or accumulation into specific addresses that are non-validator addresses. of course that
Right.
gets confusing because different people could own multiple addresses, and it's sort of like you get diminishing returns with how useful that gets. But
Right.
Yeah.
So definitely a really great Twitter Spaces to have. I would love to like get a deep dive on this. That would be
yeah, we
awesome.
should have Rockaway Labs and like Chris from Chainflow and do
Yeah.
sort of like focus on Regen, using these tools. How healthy are we? How healthy we are? And also just like more broadly speaking, decentralization and network health in proof of stake chains would be super cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. 3
Thank you.
minutes left. Let's keep moving. So this here has been the ongoing timeline that we put together maybe a month and a half ago at this point. I've added the most recent update there, which is the most exciting thing that everybody's been waiting for this entire time, which is the marketplace launch. So last I heard Tuesday, October 18th. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that. So yeah, I'm getting a
Can
thumbs
you
up. So does,
yeah, can you make me an editor to this, and I'll
oh, you're not. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's
I've just sorry, I was just gonna get in and augment. My belief is the bridge is not going to be done in October.
we should
Corey,
be able to edit now.
speak to that.
Yeah, I would say that's true. Yeah. And we just had should we talk about the Toucan Bridge
Yeah.
and the timeline for that? So we just before this call had a sync with some folks from the Toucan team. James, their CTO, was on that call. The infrastructure is more or less done, but things have been stalled for some time for I would say two main reasons. One was that just things were slower on our side because we were dealing with the marketplace launch primarily on our user interfaces work. But also on the Toucan side, there were a number of threads that we kind of had hoped that they would be moving a bit faster on around providing context on how we should be doing metadata mapping. That it seemed like there was a lot of we still had to figure out exactly who was the right person to talk to from their side. Seems like we've got a bit more clarity on that now, but with that, as it's now like mid-October, like I think that our optimistic is shooting for a bridge launch before Thanksgiving, but it's really dependent on how easily the new Toucan team members who are meant to be coordinating their side of this work are in leaning into this, and how fast they're able to be with answering our questions, particularly around metadata and developing UIs.
Any
Awesome.
chance we can get commitments to them? Like, I mean, it seems like
I think that that's a conversation that we should have with their leadership if we're wanting to do that, and it probably is worthwhile to like elevate it to that kind of a conversation. Happy to talk with you more about that offline, Gregory. But I think it'd be great to get some commitments from them, but like that probably means that like you and I should be on a call with like Rafa and James to like understand like to what extent they're able to, because it sounds like they're just dealing with a lot, and it's a challenge for them to be able to resource a number of different projects, ours being just one of them.
well, and vice versa. So
Yep.
Cool. Okay. It seems like we're out of time, and I know I've got another call. I think that's been quite a dense and rich share back. So again, high level takeaway for those of you who are listening is Marketplace is launching on Tuesday. There's going to be lots of announcements about this. We're going to start rolling forward into publicity land and other things. But the takeaway is the city forest credits are going to be available for purchase in the marketplace starting on Tuesday. I know I'm going to be personally going and offsetting my family's carbon emissions. I think there may also be some interesting carbon drops for those of you who are engaged participants with all of the work that's been, happening and unfolding over the last little while. So it's going to be an exciting little while of, learning how to use and take advantage of, I think, the world's first like truly integrated peer-to-peer carbon marketplace and registry system. Up until now, that doesn't really exist. There's ways that we could critique the other competitors, but that's for another time. So thanks everybody for taking time out of your day and coming to the community call. As always, check in on Twitter, check in on Discord. If you've got questions, let us know, and see everybody in a couple weeks. Thanks, Dan.
Bye. Thank you.
Terry. Ciao.